'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the accommodations, not a creature was stirring because they were in self-isolation. The stockings were hung on the chimney by the missus in the hopes that Microtech soon would bring about the apocalyptic Christmas. I'm excited about this one. Some of these videos talk about knives that are tools or look pretty, but in this video, we're going to review a fun knife, the Microtech Ultratech. So let's get inside and have some fun. Hello, and welcome back to a special episode of Blade Insider, where we talk about all things knives. And today, we are reviewing the Microtech Ultratech. In a previous video, I went on location and reviewed the Microtech UTX 85, which essentially is 85% of an Ultratech. In that video, I said that, I think these knives, these UTX 85s, might be a gateway knife into the OTF world. You buy this knife first, you figure out whether you like it or not, and then it opens you up to different styles of OTFs and different sizes of OTFs. And boy, was I right. I've had more fun with this knife than I thought I would. So much fun that I had to get the original, the Ultratech. So we're going to have some fun and figure out how many times I can say the word fun in this video and take a closer look at this knife. But before we get into that review, consider subscribing to this channel. We're building a community of knife fans, and we need you to join us. We put out new and fun content weekly, so be sure to come back and watch. And ring that bell to be notified of our new videos. Here are some of the things I said about the UTX 85. Adding up all the scores, we come to an overall score of 4.2. Sharpness had a negative effect on the overall score of the knife. So let's start by comparing the UTX 85 with the Ultratech. The glass breaker on both knives are the same. The clip size and shape are the same size as well. They are the same thickness and they have the same trigger design and size. The channel that the trigger sits in appears to be the same length. The jimping on both handles are in the same place and are the same design. And it was a nice surprise that my Linus sheath will fit on both knives. So what's the difference? The number and placement of the screws are different, and the handle size on the UTX 85 is a little more than half of an inch shorter. Also, the blade is about 1/4 of an inch shorter. Microtech also builds the UTX 70, which is 70% the size of the original Ultratech. But what you can't read from a spec sheet is how these two knives deploy. The UTX 85 has always been difficult to deploy. Your thumb will easily tire on this knife. I just thought it was common on all Microtech knives, but the full-size Microtech is much easier to deploy. I think the reason for that, it fits better in my hand and I can get more leverage on the trigger. So my preference would be the Ultratech. It's just a smidge bigger than the UTX 85, but it's much easier to deploy. And if I was deciding what size to get, I would get the Ultratech. Well, that's enough about the UTX 85. Let's go to the bench and take a closer look at the Ultratech. We review our knives based on 5 categories, which include design and aesthetics, carryability, materials, usability, and value. Our first category is design and aesthetics. Ultratechs come in a variety of different colors and blade shapes. This knife is OD green with an Apocylptic bronze finish. Now, what is an Apocylptic finish? It's both bee-blasted and tumbled for a unique look. It gives a distressed, almost antique look to the blade. The handles on this knife are OD green with the bronze finish on the clip, glass breaker, and trigger. The color combination works on this knife. This knife is a Blade HQ exclusive, so it doesn't have the branding on the handle as most Microtech Ultratechs will. The blade is double-edged with a bronze apocalyptic finish on it. The blade is unique since this knife has center holes that follow the Spartan blade shape, but was used in this design. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this knife is a John Wick knife from the first movie. Not necessarily the same color or blade shape, but they did use the Ultratechs in the first movie. So for design and aesthetics, this knife rates a 5 out of 5. The apocalyptic finish just has a cool name to it, but it looks good as well. I like the plain OD green handles on this knife, the bronze clip and trigger, and the glass breaker. I just love that double-edged blade. This is a great looking knife. Our next category is carryability. Let's run the tail of the tape on this knife. The overall length is 8.375 inches. The blade length is 3.375 inches. And the cutting edge is 3.125 inches. Blade material is CTS 204P, which is essentially 20 CV, but made from Carpenter Technology steels. Blade design is dagger. Blade grind is hollow, and it has a bronze finish to it. The handle length is 5 inches. Handle thickness is 0.47 inches. And the knife weighs 3.09 ounces. In my UTX 85 review, I mentioned how well that knife carries in the Linos Kydex sheath. Well, the full-size Ultratech fits in this sheath as well, and it carries just as well on your belt. But let's see how this knife fits in a pair of jeans. Here is the Microtech in comparison with a pair of jeans. Now, it does not fit into the watch pocket of your jeans, but it does fit very nicely into the front pocket. Special mention goes out to the clip. This is a great clip by Microtech. It slides in and out of a pair of pants very easily. Now, the size and dimensions of the knife makes it very easy to put the knife in your front pocket, leaving plenty of room for your keys, your wallet, or your phone. For carryability, this knife rates a 5 out of 5. It fits in a sheath, and it fits great in a pair of jeans with the deep carry clip. It's just a great knife to carry. I bumped it up a half a point because I thought the full-size Ultratech would be too big, and that's why I originally bought the 85. I was wrong. Your first purchase should be the Ultratech, and then decide if you want the smaller knife. Let's look at the materials in this knife. The blade steel is CTS 204P. The steel is manufactured by USA-based Carpenter Technology Corporation. Chemically, it's nearly identical to Böhler M390 or CPM 20 CV steel, so it'll be harder to sharpen, but have good edge retention. The handle is made out of aluminum. The knife feels solid, like a solid piece of steel in your hand, and that's the type of feeling you want. If you carry this type of OTF, you're not looking for the lightest knife. Microtech advertises its self-defense capabilities in its promotional ads. Now, the clip and other hardware is stainless steel. At least this could be upgraded to titanium, but that's really a minor knock on this knife. For materials, this knife gets a 4.5 out of 5. Sure, the hardware materials could be upgraded. Our next category is usability. So what are these knives used for anyway? A lot of people use these knives for self-defense, and that's what Microtech advertises on their website. And really, that's what I thought of when I thought of OTFs, and why I never bought one to begin with. But owning one of these knives, and you find out that there's so much more than for self-defense. First, it can be used for any EDC need that you have. They come in all blade shapes, and some blade shapes can handle more stressful tasks than others. But I really have no problem carrying this knife and using it for whatever comes up in the day. But I probably wouldn't use it to cut cardboard boxes up. Next, it's very fidget friendly. You can have a lot of fun just deploying this knife over and over again. Finally, It's really an all-purpose knife that you can use to pound on something or to break glass with. Let's see how this knife cuts. Now this is a double-edged blade, so let's test both sides. Now that side's sharp, we'll test the other side. That's sharp as well. There are many variations of this knife, including different blade shapes. Some blade shapes are better at some tasks than others. This is my first dagger blade, and I really like the design and shape of it. It's sharp and deploys with the snap. With OTF knives, there may be some blade play in the knife, but that really doesn't affect its use. For usability, this knife gets a 4 out of 5. Our last category is value. There are many variations on this knife, and they range in price between $280 to $875. I was able to get this knife for a significant discount, but usually it's about a $300 knife. Well, is it worth it? There are top materials in this knife, including the blade steel. And there's so much more engineering and build time with this knife as well. The tolerances on this knife are great, and it has not misfired for the last month or so that I've owned the knife. The detail work on the blade is not like anything else I have in my collection, and honestly, this knife is a hell of a lot funner than any other $300 knife that I own. And compared with other quality OTFs, I think this is reasonably priced. At $300, this is not a value knife, but I think it's reasonably priced when compared to other OTFs. For value, this knife scores a 4 out of 5. When we add up all the scores, this knife totals a 4.5 out of 5, a very good score. You want to buy this knife if you want a fun knife and if you want something different in your collection. But beware, check your local knife laws before you buy. Now, OTFs are like pit bulls. You think you don't want them because you have all sort of bad assumptions about them. But once you've met a good one, they will always find a place in your heart. So what do you think about the Ultratech? Do you like the Apocylptic bronze color and the OD green? Are you thinking about dipping your toe in the OTF waters? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. And while you're down there, don't forget to ring the bell for notifications of our new weekly content. And subscribe if you're not already part of our community. Well, that's it for this video. We'll see you next week. And remember to be responsible, be respectful, and be happy. We'll see you soon.